Alan Carter stared out the viewport as the human ship approached the massive station. The structure hung in space like a giant metal flower, its petals stretching outward around a bright central hub. Hundreds of alien vessels moved around it, coming and going in carefully controlled patterns. "First time seeing Council Station?" asked the pilot. Alan nodded. "First human to see it officially." The pilot smiled. "Congratulations on being chosen as our representative. Though from your face, I'm not sure if congratulations are what you want." Alan sighed. "I was planning to retire next month. Now I'm humanity's face to the galaxy." He straightened his formal suit jacket. "Not exactly what I had in mind." 6 months ago, humans had accidentally discovered faster-than-light travel. 3 months ago, the first alien ship arrived in Earth orbit. Now Alan was heading to take humanity's seat on the Galactic Council, a position no one had known existed until recently. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Alan gathered his few belongings and walked to the airlock. His heart beat faster despite his diplomatic training. 29 years of Earth diplomacy hadn't prepared him for this. The door opened to reveal a tall, lizard-like creature with blue-green scales and vertical pupils. It wore what looked like a formal robe with strange symbols. "Representative Carter," the creature said in perfect English. "I am Ixel of the Vorlax, assigned as your guide and aide. Welcome to Council Station." "Thank you," Alan replied, relieved the universal translators worked as promised. Ixel led Alan through curved corridors, filled with beings of every shape and size. Some looked almost human. Others defied description. Clouds of gas in containment fields, crystalline structures that moved on their own, things that seemed more plant than animal. "The full council meets tomorrow," Ixel explained. "Today you will rest and prepare. Your quarters are in the outer ring, along with other new species representatives." "How many species are in the council?" Alan asked. 143 with voting rights, Ixel said. "Another 29 with observer status. Humans are the newest members." They entered a large open area where dozens of aliens gathered in small groups. Many conversations stopped as Alan passed. He felt their stares. "They're curious," Ixel said quietly. "Most have only seen humans in briefings. Some look less curious and more concerned," Alan observed. Ixel's scales shifted color slightly. New species always cause adjustment periods. Some older council members are set in their ways. They reached Alan's quarters, a simple room with furniture adapted for human use. A large window looked out into space, showing a nearby neutron star glowing faintly in the distance. "The council session begins at what you would call 9 a.m. Earth time," Ixel said. "I will come for you. You may wish to review the protocols I've sent to your datapad." After Ixel left, Alan unpacked and tried to rest. Sleep wouldn't come. Tomorrow, he would represent 4 billion humans to a galaxy that had been operating without them for thousands of years. Alan was awakened by a soft chime. Ixel waited outside to escort him to the council chamber. The chamber was enormous, a vast circular room with rising tiers of seats. The central floor held a speaking platform surrounded by holographic displays. Alan was led to a simple seat marked with Earth's newly created galactic symbol. The council leader, a tall being with 4 arms and silvery skin, called the session to order. After opening formalities, they announced, "Today we welcome representatives from Sol System, designation Earth or Terra. Their species calls themselves human." Alan stood as practiced and walked to the center platform. Before he could speak, a harsh voice interrupted. "Point of order," called an insectoid being from the upper tiers. "The humans have barely achieved space travel. Their qualification for full council membership should be debated before seating their representative." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Alan stood frozen on the platform. "The Zric delegation's concern is noted," said the council leader, but procedures were followed. "The human representative will be recognized." Alan looked across the chamber at hundreds of alien faces. Some showed interest, others disdain, many unreadable. He took a deep breath. In that moment, he knew Earth's road in the galaxy would not be easy, and he sensed something else. Beneath the diplomatic formality, something dangerous waited, something that made Alan wonder if humanity's invitation to this Grand Council was not the honor it appeared to be. 2 weeks into his time on Council Station, Alan Carter found himself lost in the massive structure. The curved hallways all looked the same to his human eyes. He was trying to find his way back to his quarters when he nearly bumped into a woman in a blue Earth uniform. "Representative Carter," she said, surprised. "I was just looking for you." "You have me at a disadvantage," Alan replied. "Lisa Novak, exobiologist. I arrived with the science team yesterday." She smiled. "And judging by your face, you're as lost as I am in this place." Alan laughed for the first time since arriving. "Guilty. I was told the station has over 3,000 miles of corridors." "I believe it," Lisa said. "I've been trying to find the Biological Research Center for an hour." They walked together, eventually finding a map display. As they figured out their directions, Lisa asked, "How are the council meetings going?" Alan frowned. "Not well. Every proposal Earth makes gets buried in procedural votes. Every question I ask gets vague answers. It's like they invited us here, but don't actually want us involved." "I've noticed something similar in the science division," Lisa said. "They share basic information, but nothing meaningful. And I keep hearing the same phrase, new species restrictions." They found their way to a large garden area where various aliens relaxed. Alan spotted an empty bench near a bubbling fountain. "These new species restrictions aren't mentioned in any official documents," Alan said quietly as they sat down. "But they seem to apply to everything we try to do." Lisa nodded. "Something else bothers me. I've been studying the Council's species database. Several races are listed as inactive members." "Meaning what?" "That's just it. No one will explain." When I asked, my supervisor changed the subject. Lisa pulled out her datapad. "Look at these records. In the last 500 years, 14 species joined the Council and later became inactive." Alan looked at the information. "What happened to them?" "Official records say they were failed evolutionary branches that couldn't adapt to galactic society. But all the details are classified." Their conversation was interrupted by 2 tall, blue-skinned aliens walking nearby. Alan recognized them as Axlori, one of the most powerful council races. The humans continued to ask problematic questions. One said to the other in what they thought was a private conversation. But Alan's translator picked it up. "Their containment assessment is scheduled for next month," the second replied. "The committee already has concerns about their development path. If they follow the Rulex pattern, more direct measures may be necessary." The 2 aliens moved out of range. Alan and Lisa exchanged worried looks. "Containment assessment," Lisa whispered. "That doesn't sound good." "And who were the Rulex?" Alan asked. "One of the inactive species I mentioned." Later that day, Alan met with Ixel in his quarters. He mentioned the conversation he overheard. Ixel's scales changed to a darker shade. "You were not meant to hear that." "What is a containment assessment?" Alan demanded. Ixel looked nervous. "Officially, it's a routine evaluation all new species undergo." He paused. "Unofficially, it determines how dangerous you might become." Dangerous. The Council values stability above all. Species that develop in unexpected ways are seen as potential threats. "And these inactive members?" Alan asked. Ixel's voice dropped to a whisper. "I cannot speak of this openly, but search the records for System G9472, the Rulex homeworld." He moved toward the door. "I've said too much already." That night, Alan couldn't sleep. He used his security credentials to access the records Ixel mentioned. What he found made his blood run cold. System G9472 was listed as uninhabited due to natural stellar instability. But older records showed the Rulex had been a thriving civilization until they developed a unique approach to quantum physics that the Council hadn't seen before. 2 months after presenting their discoveries, their star had mysteriously destabilized. There were no survivors. Alan stared at the ceiling, thinking about Earth. A terrible question formed in his mind. Had humans been invited to join the Council, not as equals, but to be controlled? Or worse, Alan met with Lisa and Peter Dawson, Earth's military attaché, in a quiet corner of the station's garden dome. They chose this spot because the rushing water of the artificial stream would mask their conversation from listening devices. What I found about the Rulex is just the beginning, Alan said quietly. 6 other inactive species had similar patterns. They developed unique technologies, then suffered mysterious disasters. Peter, a tall man with serious eyes, nodded. The Council military records I've accessed show interesting gaps. Earth's technology developed differently than most Council races. Our approach to propulsion and energy systems follows a path they consider unusual. Lisa leaned forward. That might explain the strange questions my science team keeps getting. They seem particularly interested in our development timeline. Their conversation paused as a blue-skinned amphibian approached their table. The being had webbed hands and large dark eyes. "Forgive my intrusion," the alien said, speaking quietly. "I am Krell of the Nasdaq. I heard rumors another new species is asking dangerous questions." Alan tensed. "What do you mean by dangerous?" Krell looked around nervously. "The kind that got my people nearly wiped out when we joined the Council 60 years ago." Peter made space at their table. "Please, join us." Krell sat down. "My people were seafaring. We developed technology suited for underwater environments. The Council found our approach concerning. Soon after joining, our colony worlds experienced equipment failures. Habitats collapsed. Thousands died. An accident?" Lisa asked. "So the investigation concluded," Krell said bitterly. "But before the failures, Council inspection teams visited each facility." Alan felt a chill. "How did your people survive?" "We pretended to abandon our unique development path. We adopted standard Council technologies instead," Krell explained. "We survived by becoming less than we were." "Why are you telling us this?" Peter asked. "Because humans are showing the same troubling signs of independence that doomed others." Krell leaned closer. "And because you're not alone. Many younger species help each other quietly." After Krell left, Peter spoke first. "We need to warn Earth. If what he's saying is true, Earth won't believe it without proof." Alan interrupted. "We need more evidence." The next day, Alan was called to meet with the Axlori ambassador, a tall blue-skinned being named Valathrix. Her office overlooked the central hub of the station. "Representative Carter," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "the Council is pleased with humanity's integration." "Thank you, Ambassador," Alan replied cautiously. "We believe it's time for deeper cooperation," she continued. "The Council proposes a cultural exchange program. Axlori observers would visit Earth to help guide your development." Alan recognized the implied threat behind her pleasant words. "That's very generous, but humanity prefers to develop at our own pace." The ambassador's smile faded slightly. "Independence is admirable, but can lead to unfortunate outcomes. The Council has vast experience guiding new species." "I'll convey your offer to my government," Alan said diplomatically. "Please do." Her tone hardened. "Also inform them that, until this matter is resolved, the Council has concerns about expanding Earth's trading rights." After leaving the ambassador's office, Alan went straight to Peter's quarters. He found Lisa already there, looking worried. "Earth just reported unusual activity," Peter said without greeting. "Multiple Council vessels have changed course toward our solar system. The Axlori just tried to pressure me into accepting observers on Earth," Alan added. "When I didn't immediately agree, she threatened our trading rights." Lisa looked up from her datapad. "I've been in contact with Krell. He introduced me to representatives from 5 other newer species. They've all experienced similar pressure. What happened to them? Peter asked. Those who accepted observers found their technology development strictly controlled. Those who refused faced accidents or economic sanctions until they had no choice. Alan paced the small room. We need to contact Earth immediately. They need to prepare defensive measures without appearing hostile. And we need allies here, Lisa added. Krell says there are others who might help us. Peter looked grim. We're walking a dangerous line. If we appear too suspicious, we could provoke the very conflict we're trying to avoid. Alan stared out at the stars. We didn't ask to join a galactic community that operates on threats and manipulation. But now that we know the game, we need to play it better than they do. And if we can't? Lisa asked softly. Alan's expression hardened. Then humanity stands alone. But we won't go quietly like the Rulex. Lisa spent 3 days in the station's archives, using her science credentials to access historical records most diplomats ignored. With Ixel's help, she found files buried deep in the system. Look at this pattern, she told Alan and Peter in their secure meeting spot. Every species with unique technology faced either manufactured conflicts that weakened them or was pushed into bad treaties. How many? Alan asked. At least 23 in the past 800 years, Lisa said. The most innovative ones suffered disasters after Council humanitarian missions visited their worlds. Peter studied the data. They're systematic about it. First economic pressure, then staged accidents, then direct threats. We need to get this to Earth, Alan said. I've requested an urgent meeting with Secretary Rivera. Susan Rivera, Earth's Secretary of Foreign Affairs, arrived on the station 2 days later. She looked tired from the journey, but alert as she met with them in Alan's quarters. This better be important, she said. I had to cancel 3 peace summits to come here. Alan explained their discoveries while Lisa presented the evidence they had gathered. Secretary Rivera listened with growing skepticism. This sounds like conspiracy thinking, she said finally. The Council has been nothing but helpful to Earth. They've offered technological assistance, trade agreements, all with strings attached. Peter interrupted. Ma'am, the military movements alone should concern you. 5 Council vessels are now positioned at the edge of our solar system. For observation purposes, they claimed, Rivera countered. And we've. A loud crash interrupted her as something smashed through the viewport. Alan tackled Rivera to the floor as glass-like shards flew everywhere. A small smoking device landed nearby. Down, Peter shouted, covering Lisa with his body. The device hissed, but didn't explode. Instead, it released a thin mist that quickly dissipated into the room's ventilation system. Council security forces arrived minutes later, led by a tall ex-Lori officer. A regrettable accident, the officer said, examining the broken window. A maintenance drone malfunctioned. That was no drone, Peter said firmly. That was an attempt on our lives. The ex-Lori looked at him coldly. Our investigation will determine what happened. Please remain available for questioning. After they left, Rivera looked shaken. Was that really an assassination attempt? Yes, Alan said. And they're already covering it up. Rivera's expression hardened. I believe you now. What do you need from me? Authorization for a covered investigation, Alan replied. And someone who can help us access restricted communications. 2 days later, Karen Wells arrived on the station as a cultural attaché. In reality, she was Earth's top intelligence officer. Dark-haired and quick-minded, she immediately began her work. Using equipment smuggled in diplomatic pouches, Karen set up a secure system in Alan's quarters. If there's communication about plans against Earth, I'll find it, she promised. It took her 4 days to break into the Council's secure channels. What she found confirmed their worst fears. There's a classified directive, Karen told them, showing the encrypted message on her screen. From something called the Inner Circle to senior ex-Lori commanders. It authorizes the management of human expansion through any means necessary. What does that mean exactly? Rivera asked. The directive lists options, Karen continued grimly. Economic sanctions first, then engineered accidents on our colonies, and if those fail, she paused. Targeted strikes on key Earth facilities to demonstrate Council resolve. Rivera looked pale. They're planning to attack Earth if we don't fall in line. They're following their standard playbook, Alan said. The same one they've used on dozens of species before us. What's our next move? Lisa asked. Peter spoke up. Earth needs to prepare defenses without appearing aggressive. We need allies here on the station. And we need more proof, Alan added. Something so clear that even council members can't ignore it. We're running out of time, Karen warned. According to these communications, they're accelerating their timeline. Something has them worried about humanity. Good, Alan said firmly. They should be worried. Because unlike the others, we know what's coming. And we'll be ready. The news reached Alan during breakfast. A human research station on Europa had been destroyed. 37 scientists were dead in what council reports called a mining accident. Alan rushed to meet with his team. Peter was already reviewing the initial reports with Karen when he arrived. This was no accident, Peter said, his face grim. The damage pattern is consistent with weapons fire. Karen nodded. The council investigation team reached Europa suspiciously fast. They declared it human error before even completing their survey. Lisa entered the room, looking pale. I just heard. This is exactly what happened to the Nasdaq before they were forced to sign the protection treaty. Alan's secure communication device buzzed. It was a message from Earth. The defense grid had detected and repelled an unidentified probe with auxiliary energy signatures. The probe had been scanning Earth's defense systems. They're testing our defenses, Alan said quietly. Secretary Rivera joined them an hour later. Earth is officially protesting the Europa incident, she said. I've demanded a full council hearing. The emergency session was scheduled for the next day. Alan prepared carefully, gathering all the evidence they had collected. Krell and representatives from several other newer species promised to support Earth's position. The council chamber was packed when Alan took the speaking platform. He presented the evidence about Europa, including analysis showing weapons signatures in the debris field. This was a deliberate attack on a peaceful research facility, Alan declared. Earth demands an independent investigation. The auxiliary representative, Valathrix, immediately stood. These accusations are baseless. Our preliminary investigation clearly shows a containment failure caused by human error. Then why was weapons residue found in the wreckage? Alan challenged. Representative Carter is mistaken, Vala replied smoothly. Perhaps humans lack the experience to properly analyze such evidence. Alan tried to present their findings, but procedural motions kept interrupting him. Each piece of evidence was dismissed or ruled inadmissible on technical grounds. Then the Zrik representative spoke, his insect-like mandibles clicking. Perhaps this unfortunate incident demonstrates why primitive species require guidance, even against their will, for their own protection. A murmur ran through the chamber. Several representatives nodded in agreement. Alan gripped the edges of the speaking platform. Is that what the Council truly stands for? Forcing protection on sovereign worlds, staging accidents when they refuse to comply. The chamber grew quiet. Humanity did not ask to join a galactic community built on lies and manipulation. Alan continued, his voice strong. We came seeking friendship among the stars. Instead, we found a system designed to control and suppress any species that might one day become equals. Many mid-tier council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Alan could see his words were reaching them. If this is truly a council for all galactic species, then prove it now. Authorize an independent investigation into the Europa incident. Show that justice matters more than power. For a moment, Alan thought he had succeeded. Several representatives began to signal their support. Then the transmission to the chamber was mysteriously cut. When it resumed a minute later, the council leader was already calling for a vote. The motion for an independent investigation was defeated. Later, Alan discovered his speech had been deleted from official records, but copies had already spread through the station. Representatives from 7 species contacted him privately to express support. That night, Alan returned to his quarters to find them ransacked. His diplomatic files were gone. He immediately tried to contact Ixel, but received no response. He rushed to Ixel's quarters with Peter. They found the door forced open. Inside, green blood stained the floor. Ixel was gone. "They're moving faster now," Peter said quietly. "Your speech scared them." Karen arrived, looking worried. "Our secure channel to Earth was just blocked. The official reason is technical difficulties. They're isolating us," Ellen realized. Lisa joined them, her face tense with anger. "I just heard the council is drafting a resolution declaring Earth a protected development zone. If passed, it would authorize them to restrict our space travel and place advisors in our government." Ellen looked at his team. "We've run out of diplomatic options. It's time for Plan B." "Are you sure?" Peter asked. "Once we do this, there's no going back." "Unsure," Alan said firmly. "Contact our allies. Tell them it's time." Alan's speech had caused more impact than he expected. Within 2 days, representatives from 12 species had requested private meetings with him. Most were from mid-tier council worlds that had joined in the last few centuries. "Your accusations have created quite a disturbance," said Neva, a crystalline being from the Lathri species. Her transparent body glowed with inner light as she spoke. "Many of us have suspected similar treatment but never had proof." "Now we have proof," Alan said, sharing the files Karen had recovered. But the council leadership buried it. Representatives from the Krell, the plant-like Vasi, and the energy-based Talon reviewed the evidence with growing concern. "This matches our experience exactly," said the Vasi representative, his leaf-like appendages trembling with emotion. 3 of our colony worlds suffered reactor failures after we refused council oversight." Word spread quickly. More species came forward with similar stories. The coalition grew to 17 species, all sharing experiences of council manipulation and control. Meanwhile, Jason Miller, a junior diplomat working with Alan, was assigned to gather more evidence from the historical archives. He messaged Alan late one night about finding something important. "Meet me tomorrow. I have what we need," his message said. But Jason never made it to their meeting. He was found dead in his quarters the next morning. Council security declared it a suicide. Karen examined the scene after officials left. "This wasn't suicide," she said quietly, pointing out marks on Jason's neck. "And his data pad is missing." "What did he find?" Lisa wondered. "Whatever it was, it got him killed," Peter said grimly. That evening, Alan received an anonymous message directing him to a maintenance tunnel in the outer ring. He went with Peter, both armed with hidden weapons. In the shadowy tunnel, they found a small package. Inside was a data crystal and a note in Jason's handwriting. "Made a backup. Trust no one." Karen worked through the night to decrypt the files. What they found shocked even their prepared minds. "It's called the Continuity Protocol," Karen explained, displaying the documents. "A secret doctrine maintained by the founding species of the Council. It outlines methods to ensure they remain dominant. The protocol detailed strategies to contain or eliminate rising civilizations. Economic sanctions, staged accidents, and proxy conflicts were all described as management tools. Every council member that showed too much independence has faced this," Lisa said, reviewing the historical records. "The Rulex extinction wasn't natural at all. It was deliberate. And now it's our turn," Peter added. Alan made his decision. "We need to expose this to the entire council." They worked frantically to prepare. Alan contacted every allied species, sharing copies of the Continuity Protocol. Secretary Rivera coordinated with Earth to prepare for possible retaliation. The next day, Alan formally requested an emergency session of the full council. To his surprise, it was granted immediately. The council chamber was tense when Alan took the speaking platform. The inner circle members sat together, looking confident. They clearly believed they had contained the situation. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Alan began. I come before you today with evidence of a conspiracy that threatens not just Earth, but every member world. Before the inner circle could interrupt, 7 other representatives stood in unison. The Lathri, Vossi, Krell, Talon, and 3 others. We stand with Earth in this matter, Neva of the Lathri announced. And we demand to be heard. The council leader looked startled. This coordinated action wasn't part of the script. Alan displayed the continuity protocol on the chamber's main screens. For centuries, the founding species have manipulated, controlled, and even destroyed civilizations they deemed threats to their power. Gasps and cries of shock filled the chamber. Many representatives saw their own world's histories reflected in the documents. This cannot be true, the council leader declared. This session is suspended until. For the first time in council history, the motion to suspend was voted down. The chamber erupted into chaos as centuries of built-up resentments boiled over. Alan watched as the perfect facade of galactic unity cracked before his eyes. The council was fracturing along lines of power and age, and in that chaos, he knew something new was being born. 3 days after the explosive council session, the station was divided into factions. The oldest species, led by the Axlori, called themselves the Founders. Alan and his allies formed the Reformist Coalition. Many other species tried to remain neutral, waiting to see who would win. Alan sat in a large meeting room with representatives from 23 species. Their alliance had grown quickly after the evidence was revealed. The Founders have cut off trade routes to Earth, Neva of the Lathri reported. 3 of our colony worlds report similar blockades. They're trying to isolate us economically, Alan said. Standard first step from their playbook. Secretary Rivera joined by holographic link from Earth. Our long-range sensors detect movement of Council military ships. They claim these are routine exercises. Nothing routine about it, Peter added. Those ships are positioned to strike reformist worlds if needed. Krell, his amphibian features tense, spoke next. We've received a formal message from the Council Inner Circle. They've demanded we distance ourselves from human conspiracy theories or face sanctions. They're trying to break our coalition, Lisa observed. Alan stood up. We need to move faster. Secretary Rivera, how soon can Earth host the emergency conference? 3 days, Rivera replied. We've already sent secure ships to transport Allied representatives. Karen entered the room, looking worried. We just intercepted communications between founder ships. They're planning something called Operation Unity to begin in 5 days. That doesn't sound good, Alan said. It's not, Karen confirmed. From what I could decode, they plan to demonstrate their power by staging an unfortunate incident on one of our worlds. They want to scare others away from our coalition. The representatives looked at each other with concern. We need to warn all Allied worlds to increase their defenses, Peter said, but without appearing aggressive. A difficult balance, Niva agreed. Later that day, Ixal reappeared. He looked thin and had a healing scar on his face. Alan met him in a secure room. They tried to make me disappear permanently, Ixal explained. But some of my people helped me escape. Your own species sided with you. Alan asked, surprised. Not all Vorlax agree with the continuity protocol, Ixal said. Many younger members believe it betrays our original values. Ixal brought concerning news. The Founder fleet is mobilizing under cover of peacekeeping exercises. Their true purpose is to surround reformist worlds. With this information, Peter coordinated with Allied military forces to prepare defensive measures. Earth activated its planetary shield system, a technology the Council had not expected humans to develop so quickly. The Earth Conference began with representatives from 32 species attending either in person or by secure link. They discussed forming a new interstellar alliance based on mutual respect rather than control. But diplomatic efforts were failing. The Axlori ambassador delivered a message to Elan. The Council has voted. Earth and all allied worlds must accept supervisory status or face expulsion from Council space. Supervisory status would place Council observers in human government and restrict Earth's technological development. The other reformist worlds face similar demands. Alan gathered the coalition representatives. They expect us to give in, as others have before. What if we don't? Asked the Vossi representative. Then we face possible military action, Peter said bluntly. Or we could leave on our own terms, Lisa suggested. Form something new. The room grew quiet as they considered this idea. The Council has existed for thousands of years, Krell said. No one has successfully challenged it. Then it's time someone did, Alan replied. They have power because everyone believes they do. What if we simply stop believing? After hours of debate, they reached a decision. The coalition would decline the ultimatum and announce the formation of a new interstellar alliance based on equality. The next day, Alan stood before the full council. The chamber was tense with anticipation. Humanity and our allies reject supervisory status, Alan declared firmly. Instead, we are leaving the council to form the alliance of sovereign worlds, where each member's independence is respected. Shouts of protest erupted from the founder representatives. The council leader called for order. Such action is unprecedented, the leader stated. The council will vote to expel Earth and its conspirators from council space. The vote was taken. Earth and 27 allied worlds were officially expelled. But something unexpected happened. Nearly a third of the council members abstained or voted against expulsion, revealing deep fractures in the once united body. As Alan left the chamber, he knew a new chapter in galactic history had begun, and Earth stood at its center. 6 months passed. The expected military strike from founder forces never materialized. Instead, the new alliance of sovereign worlds grew stronger each day. Alan stood on the observation deck of Freedom Station, the new headquarters of the alliance. The station orbited a neutral star on the border between former council space and unexplored regions. From here, he could see ships from dozens of worlds coming and going freely. Lisa joined him, now serving as the Alliance's chief science officer. Another 3 species requested membership yesterday, she reported. That makes 35 total. Why do you think the founders never attacked? Ellen asked, watching a ship dock below. Karen has a theory about that, Lisa replied. Intelligence reports show the Axlori and their closest allies are facing internal problems. When news of the continuity protocol leaked to their general populations, many were outraged. It seems not everyone approved of their leader's methods. Peter entered carrying a datapad. Earth just sent an update. Our shipyards have completed the first 5 vessels using the combined technologies of Alliance members. Ships that would have been impossible under Council restrictions. This was the true strength of the Alliance. Member worlds freely shared scientific knowledge and technological approaches that the Council had suppressed for centuries. The result was rapid innovation that surprised everyone. Ixal approached them, now serving as ambassador for a faction of the Vorlax who had broken away from the Council. The Alliance Research Council has finished their study on why humans were able to resist Council manipulation, he said. And, Alan prompted, your species has unusual neurological traits, Ixal explained. Most species can be subtly influenced by certain communication techniques the Council perfected over millennia. Humans show stronger resistance to these methods. So that's why their standard containment approach failed with us, Lisa realized. Alan smiled. Not just because we're stubborn. The stubbornness helped, Ixal said with his version of a smile. Karen joined them last. Her intelligence network now spanned former Council space. We've confirmed that 9 more species are preparing to leave the Council. The exodus is accelerating. 3 years after Earth first joined the Galactic Council, Nearly half its members had either left to join the alliance or declared neutrality. The original council continued to exist, but as a shadow of its former self. "We've received a communication request from the new council leadership," Karen added. "They want to establish diplomatic relations with the alliance. On equal terms this time," Alan noted with satisfaction. Later that day, Alan addressed the Alliance Assembly, where representatives from all 35 member species gathered in a circular chamber. Unlike the Council's hierarchical design, all seats were positioned equally. 3 years ago, humanity entered the galactic community naive and hopeful, Alan began. "We discovered a system built on control and domination rather than cooperation. Today, we prove there is another path." On the main display, representatives from 27 species, including the reformed Vorlax faction led by Ixal, gathered to ratify the Alliance Constitution. The document explicitly prohibited interference in member development and required all technology restrictions to be approved by a full vote. "This is just the beginning," Alan continued. "Already our combined scientific efforts have achieved breakthroughs that would have been impossible under the old system. What might we accomplish in a decade? A century?" After the ceremony, Alan stood alone looking at the stars. He thought about how close humanity had come to being just another controlled species, or worse, another failed evolutionary branch erased from history. Earth's greatest contribution to galactic society wasn't technology or military strength. It was simply the unwillingness to accept an unjust system and the courage to imagine something better. As ships from dozens of worlds moved peacefully around the station, Alan realized the old council had been right about one thing. Humanity was dangerous, not because of weapons or aggression, but because of ideas. The idea that different species could work together as equals. The idea that diversity created strength rather than disorder. And that idea, once released into the galaxy, proved more powerful than any fleet or protocol. It had remade the stars themselves.